Welcome, everybody. We are going to let everyone that was in the waiting room actually get set up here, and we'll start in just a moment. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and get us started, and I will need to take a break occasionally to let more people in as they arrive. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this first Home Care Marketing Tips Town Hall meeting. We're so excited that you've joined us, and we're looking forward to a great time with a lively discussion regarding many ways that we can grow our home care businesses and succeed and provide care for lots of people, and also wonderful employment for lots of caregivers and other staff. My name is Tim Calling, and I'll be your meeting facilitator today. That's enough about me. Our goal for today's meeting is to basically help each other. We want to share ideas and brainstorm together, as well as just learn from each other so that we can grow stronger, more sustainable, more flourishing home care agencies. That's our goal. Here's the agenda for today. We just pretty much did the welcome and introduction. In a few minutes, I'm going to introduce the other panelists, and then we'll get started, first of all, with a strategic overview, where we'll talk very briefly about the whole approach to growing your home care agencies from three standpoints, really: referrals, automation, and online marketing and SEO. That won't take a long time. We promise to keep those fairly brief, but hopefully to set the right foundation for the rest of the discussion. And then we're going to just open it up for questions and answers. I'm going to take a real quick break here to make sure that we've admitted everybody that has wanted to join so far. Looks like everybody is. Good. Okay. All right. So I'd like to welcome our panelists today. I'm so blessed that they are willing to join in and share their expertise with us today. I'm really appreciative of this. They both are just well-known experts in their fields. So first of all, Mike Nally. Mike is a solutions executive with Smart Care Software. You may well know about Smart Care. It's a great platform for managing your home care agency with a number of really powerful modules for doing things, including scheduling and onboarding and managing care plans, and also, as it turns out, some aspects of lead generation and marketing as well. Mike has a lot of experience, both in terms of serving our community and our country, and also in technology and technology sales. He is an Army veteran. He's a law enforcement veteran, both of which speak to my heart. I've got grandsons that are U.S. Marines, and I've got two that are in law enforcement. He's also been in technical sales for a long time. And every day he speaks with lots of agency owners around the country to identify the challenges that they face and how the automation of daily tasks with regard to those, including marketing as well as other aspects, daily tasks of home care operations, how that can help them so that they can focus on working on their business and not just in their business. Managing people coming in as well as managing the slides here. Let's see, I think there we go, Sarah. So Sarah Barker is a sales consultant and trainer at a company called Connect Forward Consulting and Training. She also has a lot of experience in serving our country, as well as in sales, and in particular in home care sales. She's has been and is currently in the U.S. Army National Guard. She has tons of experience in sales, and particularly the last 9 years in home care sales and marketing. I know personally of the agency that she was part of for most of that time here in the San Diego County area, and they have flourished with her involvement. And she has now gone and started her own company and provide a way to share that expertise with others around the country in the home care industry. And so we're very fortunate to have her with us today too. I also will be sharing today. I operated a very successful home care agency here in San Diego County for 12 years and then sold it successfully at the end of 2015. In fact, it was an early Christmas present. We closed that transaction on Christmas Eve 2015. And since then, I've operated another business that we started in 2013 called A Servant's Heart Web Design and Marketing, which provides online marketing and related services to many companies that serve the elderly, including home care agencies around the country. Okay, so what we're going to do next is take a look at 3 areas of strategy for promoting and building home care agencies. And I like to think of this as talking about why we do what we do the way we do it. And so with that, I'm going to turn the first section over to Sarah, who will be talking about referral-based marketing. Sarah?
Hi, everyone. First of all, I'm super grateful to be a part of this. And, Tim was mentioning why we do what we do the way we do it. And, I am doing what I'm doing because there are a lot of elders in our nation that need quality caregiving services. And it's my mission to provide that, especially in today's environment with COVID. I mean, this population was already isolated and lonely to begin with, and it's just been exacerbated by today's current conditions. So, first, I want you guys to understand that the work that you're doing is extremely important for their well-being. So the first thing that I want to talk about, and what I know from experience, is oftentimes people that start home care companies, or even when they hire a sales rep, they don't know who their referral sources are. Or if they do have an idea of who the referral sources are, they're thinking just the hospitals or just the skilled nursing facilities, right? But it's actually, there's a huge wheelhouse of referral sources. You have your hospitals, you have your skilled nursing facilities, you have your assisted living communities, right? You have your home health partners, your hospice partners, right? These other types of care that you can collaborate with. But then there's the legal financial wheelhouse. And that was really where my expertise was. Over the years, I did diversify between medical accounts and legal financial. But on the legal financial side of things, you have your estate planning attorney, you have your corporate trustees, private fiduciaries, wealth managers, and CPAs. And so I have found over the years that really where you're going to create a large book of business is by having the diverse mix of referral sources. Because, lots of times the clients that could come from a skilled nursing facility, maybe it's just to get home and rehab for a point of time, but often the referrals that you'll get from an estate planning attorney are going to last for literally years, so they're very high revenue producing clients. So with that said, you have to know who your referral sources are, but then it's important to understand that what may be important to a social worker, right, at a skilled nursing facility is not the same thing that's important to an estate planning attorney. So when I train people, it's about understanding what is it that they actually care about, right? Because you need to know that in order to know how you can bring value to them. And it's business. So it's about reciprocity too, in addition to doing a good job serving the client. And so, understanding what's important to them, but also positioning it, the verbiage that you need to use with each type of referral source to encourage them to refer to you, and then to continue referring to you and to strengthen that partnership. So we can talk a little bit so I'll give you an example. What I know is that a social worker at a skilled nursing facility, that refer to me, right, they typically just want me to handle everything. So over the years, I've gotten them to think Sarah Serve seniors, right? They just will hand the person to me and say, figure out everything they need, right? And I handle it. However, if an estate planning attorney refers to me, what they're caring most about is their reputation. And if I'm making them look good to their clients, right? And then also the reciprocity. But oftentimes, right, people might already have their estate plan or their trust documents. So the ability to refer a lot to the legal financial is not that high. So how do you give value to that professional? Well, lots of times, estate planning attorneys will get referrals from a financial advisor. So the way that you would add value in that case is you would provide introductions to that attorney, introductions to financial advisors for that attorney, right? Or, another example is private fiduciaries. They desperately want to know estate planning attorneys. So you become this connector, right? You become this person creating this connection, and then that makes them want to refer to you. And then Tim, do I have some time, or am I up in my 5
I think we should probably wrap up and go on to Mike when you're finished.
Thank you. One last point. So a current client that I have right now, he hired 4 sales reps. None of them had industry experience. 3 of the 4 right now are more than triple exceeding their quota. They were supposed to spend, produce $5,000 in their first month. One is producing 32,000 already, the other one 27,000, and the other one 21,000. So I'm feeling super proud that the training works. And the other part of the training is this mindset of advancement and continuation. So when you're talking to referral sources, you always need to be thinking, what is my objective? And then did I advance on that objective? And if I didn't, and it's a continuation, what is my follow-up going to be? So thank you very much for listening to me. And I'm really excited to be able to help you guys.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Okay. Mike Nally will now talk about automation.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, Tim. Welcome, everyone. I just want to share with you a question for you to think about as we look into this issue of marketing. Are you tired? Ask yourself that question. Are you tired? And I'm going to go through that question because ask yourself why. Why would you be tired? Well, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? If you think about it, think about all the effort that each of you have put into your business. You spread the good news. You're doing all that you can to try to do outreach activities. I see this all over on the groups and the people that I speak with on a daily basis across the nation. You're handing out business cards, brochures, cold calls. You're building all of these referrals. You're giving out gift bags. Many of you are doing that, doing mass mailings, right? Advertisements. And these are all examples of what's called outbound marketing. A lot of you know why you're doing what you're doing, but you're uncomfortable when it comes to sales. That's just admit that. Many of us are. And I can just tell you this, that all of these efforts that you're doing, they're essential efforts. You must do them. The goal, of course, is you have to build those relationships. You have to be able to increase your visibility and secure those referral sources. This is just critical for you to build that relationship with the hospital discharge planners, the case managers, word of mouth. These things are just so important. But the problem that each of you are finding, and this is why you're tired, is because the customers are savvy, just like you're savvy. You may know who the decision maker is, that person you need to speak to, but they hire gatekeepers in your way. And they require appointments. And so here you sit, every one of us on this recording, you sit with the perfect solution, the perfect service to help, but you're stuck at that gatekeeper. In 2017, HubSpot came out with some statistics that I thought all of you would be interested in. Out of the highest quality leads that you receive, only 16% of them come from outbound marketing. Think of that. Think of that. So how much time are you investing in outbound marketing? And let's look at the opposite though. The opposite though is something called inbound marketing or pull marketing. And this is quickly becoming the go-to tactic, and this is why I wanted to address this today. What you do is you establish these gateways, and you allow the customer to be able to make the first move. The hard sell isn't as effective today as it used to be. And so consumers are tired of ads. Think about this. What do you do, every one of you, with junk mail? How many of you just sit and hold on to that? You don't even open it in many times. And also, if you think about it in this way, advertisements, 615 million devices in 2016 were uploaded with ad blockers, okay? So your goal is really reaching your audience without annoying them. And so people really, they want to be able to control their own interests. So my challenge to all of you in 2021, improve your inbound marketing. And you need to gain the attention of your customers and the people you're wanting to reach. So how do you do that? Through inbound marketing. That's where social media, SEO, which Tim is going to speak on, Google searches, your online presence, websites, a blog that you're putting out, a webinar, job sites, and all these are so important for you to invest in. And is it worth it? Well, let me just give you another statistic before we close, that 68% of industry professionals believe that inbound marketing works, but 52% of those professionals believe outbound strategies are not working. So the goal here for all of you is to receive a higher ROI, and inbound marketing is an area you want to take a look at. And so as I close, then I just want to say that earlier engagement is so important. The early bird is going to get the worm. Ask yourself the question, how quick are you to the draw? How quick are you to get to those leads? Fish do not normally jump in the boat, do they? And so the most effective inbound marketing tip that I could say today is to try to invest into marketing automation. In addition to all these other examples, marketing automation is really where so much effort is and labor is reduced. And you can seek out tools that will offer this marketing automation. SmartCare software is just one of them that offers that. It takes out the labor of recruiting. It takes out the labor of the whole application process, the assessment of your candidates, the background checking, a CRM system, the HR personnel profiles and hiring. And so we'll share more during this time. I see my time is up. I've got more to share. I've got a screen to share as well on how SmartCare goes about this. But I just want to encourage all of you to consider the advantage that you would have if you were to be leaning towards more, not giving up on both of them, but investing your time and energy towards inbound marketing.
There we go. Now I'm not muted. Thanks, Mike. I'm going to talk briefly about the other aspect of all of this, which is marketing and SEO using online tactics. I'm going to have you think about this in terms of dividing up your online marketing efforts into a couple of different categories. First is your website. I think everyone knows you need to have a website these days. It's almost kind of like you need to have a brochure too, right? Everybody knows you need to have a brochure. In the case of online marketing, your website will really primarily serve the purpose of being a sort of like an online brochure for your business. And I'm trivializing it a little bit, but basically, once people get to your website, and that's a key factor, then that's your opportunity to explain why they should choose you. You can talk about what you do and why you do it that way, and talk about why people should choose you and so forth. So it's very important. And at the same time, it's meaningless unless you actually find your site. And so that brings us to the second aspect of online marketing these days, which is something called Google My Business. You may be familiar with Google Maps. Well, Google My Business is a directory service for local businesses that exists within the Google Maps service online. And Google My Business is currently free. That may change today, but for the moment, Google allows you to have a free listing there, which allows you to describe your business in terms of the name and the phone number and the address, and it includes a link to your website and all those, and provides also the opportunity for you to gather reviews for your business, and also a place for people to ask questions, for others or you to answer those questions regarding your business. The reason that really matters a lot is that when people search for a business near them that provides the service that you provide, your best chance of appearing on the first page of Google search results will be in what's called the local search results. If you think about the way that a Google search results page looks, there are the ads first, and then there's the map with a few businesses listed. That's the local search results. Everything after that, which is called the organic search results, frankly, as a local provider of home care services, you probably won't ever have a chance of showing up in those organic results because instead the big national directories will show up in there. So that local search results section is so important, and that's where your Google My Business listing comes in. So then there's a third aspect of online marketing and SEO, which is SEO itself, search engine optimization. In the case of a business like yours, a local business wanting to get into the local search results section, or local pack, we call it sometimes, that's where SEO comes in, getting you and your business into that local results pack. And so how does that happen? Well, that happens in a couple of ways. One is by not only having great Google reviews, but continuously getting more and more of them. The more you have and the better your search or your review average is, 4 out of 5 stars, 5 out of 5 stars, the higher you'll rank. And also the more frequently you get them and the more currently you've gotten them will also affect your ranking. There are lots of other factors that will affect your ranking as well, but those are some of the most important ones for local searches. There are many other aspects of search engine optimization that are too numerous and too time-consuming to go into in a short overview like this. But that's one of the most important things you can do. And then finally, and this is an area that is becoming more and more important just because there's more and more competition now in the home care industry, is something called lead generation and advertising. So advertising is something that you're probably familiar with. That's where you have all those annoying ads at the top of the search results that you click on. And you know, they may be annoying to you because you have to go past them to find the real listings, but many people will click on them because they're looking for the services that are offered in those ads. Those ads are not cheap, and yet they are becoming increasingly important. And so they're an important factor for you to consider. Google ads are very complicated to do well. So if you are considering doing Google advertising, it will be in your best interest to actually work with a company that understands how to do them effectively and cost effectively. In some markets, like in Los Angeles or New York, it's very common for a single click on an ad for home care to cost over $30. That adds up real fast, so you need to do that very well. Lead generation is basically outbound email advertising using a combination of lead lists, and also you can also advertise in some places for leads, most cost effectively really on Facebook. And so that's another place to be working on your online marketing and SEO. So that's just kind of a quick top-down overview of that. So now we can go on to the next part of this meeting, which is maybe in some ways the best part, which is an opportunity now for everyone to participate by asking questions and or by offering suggestions. I'd love to hear, we all three of us on the panel would love to hear from you. What are your biggest concerns? What are your biggest roadblocks? But also, what are some of your biggest successes? And hopefully you'll be open to sharing some of that, because this is a nationwide forum. The odds of you being on this meeting with one of your nearby competitors are pretty darn low. So it's not like you're endangering yourself by sharing some good ideas with everyone else here. I'm going to invite then everybody to speak up, ask questions, or share tips. And remember that if you want to speak up, you need to unmute yourself before speaking. Otherwise, we'll just see you going, and we won't know what you're saying. So with that, I see that there are some questions in the chat. Let's see. So yeah, let's just open it up. Who would like to speak up first?
Good morning. My name is Sergio. I'm with Grand Care out in California. My question is for Sarah. I would like to hear a little bit more about the financial side. We're exploring working with workmen's comp insurances, and in the past we have tried reaching out to different fiduciaries that we've worked with through some of our clients. But can you give us an idea of how we can reach out to that market?
Specifically to the legal financial market, including the attorneys, or are you thinking just specifically fiduciaries?
Fiduciaries primarily.
Okay, so you said that you're in California?
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing that I encourage you to do is to become a member of PFAC, or if you can't become a member, at least to start attending their events. It's the Professional Fiduciaries Association of California. And, you know, I know right now they're probably not meeting, well, they're not meeting in person, but I'm sure that they've moved to a virtual presence online. So that will be a way that you could get in front of many fiduciaries at one time. So first that. Number two, start connecting with them on LinkedIn, or just Google, go to the PFAC website, get a list of the fiduciaries. And I encourage you to reach out to them and take the approach of, you know, when I do consultations with the referrals that we get, I am looking at the situation in a holistic view. So not only am I going into the situation to identify how many days per week or how many hours of care these people need, I want to know if they have a need, you know, who's managing the finances? Do they have a trust, right? Always come from a point of, I want to meet with you so that way you can educate me on how to identify opportunities for you. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Okay.
I just placed the link for PFAC in the chat section.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. You know, Sergio mentioned one other idea, which was trying to get involved with referrals for workers' comp cases. Does anybody have anything further to say about that?
I do know that the client that I currently have, one of the clients that I have, they're actively pursuing that same thing. They're located in San Diego, but they have to get contracted, right, with the insurance company. And so, you know, that's not an area where I do have a lot of expertise, but I am more than happy to get some information from my client on how they're going about doing that and sharing it with you.
Maybe I'm going to be the curmudgeon here. When I had my agency for 12 years, we had a couple of cases that a couple of clients that were workers' comp patients, I guess, or recipients. Honestly, I have mixed feelings about taking workers' comp clients from an operations standpoint. we found in the cases where we did that the clients, one in particular, actively encouraged our caregivers to fake work injuries so that they too could be out on disability and living for free. So be cautious, I guess is what I would say. I don't mean to be negative here, but I guess I operate in a slightly defensive mode on those things. So, what else? What other ideas? You know, one person asked, maybe this was Sarah, whether people are generally seeing any change, increase or decrease in referrals during COVID. That's a really great question. Anyone have any input on that?
Yeah, I'm very curious to that question, you guys, because you know, it seems to be running the spectrum. There's home care companies that I partner with closely, and some have seen a huge increase in referrals during these times, and other ones have seen a huge decrease. And so then you have to take a step back there and ask, well, what are each of them doing differently, right? What is the one that's seen an increase doing differently than the one that is seeing the decrease? And I think it's really been the ability to pivot their marketing strategies, their business development strategies, to move to this more virtual setting to foster relationships.
And I would just say that COVID, as much as you hear differing opinions on how it has impacted our each of our agencies, there have been different challenges in some areas of the country. It is so difficult to find clients. In other areas, because of unemployment and other issues, it's difficult to find caregivers. What I really have found in talking with agencies is that the client availability overall across the nation is definitely in there, and COVID is actually working for you in that area. Because of the fear factor, there are many families having to make tough decisions on where they're going to do, what they're going to do for placement for their loved ones. And it's a very difficult decision and a scary decision to put them into an assisted living home at this time. And so home care is really at a booming time, and heading into 2021, we're going to see a big increase. I guess there's going to be a growth in home care. The big question is, who's going to get that growth?
And that's a two-pronged concern too, right? So are you positioned, right, to be the one that is going to get that growth? But also, do you have the caregiver talent, the caregiver pool to be able to support that growth if you do get it? You know, and it's funny because people don't often talk about this, but if you're the owner of a home care company, yes, you're selling, you're building relationships with referral sources to get the clients, but you're also having to sell to the caregivers, right? To get them to choose to work for your agency over another. And what I do know, across the country, there is a shortage of caregivers. It's something that's being experienced by every single home care company that I know.
That brings up another aspect of marketing for home care agencies, which is marketing to prospective caregivers and trying to attract them and retaining the ones that you currently have as well, although that's not so much a marketing activity. I'm curious whether anybody would like to speak to whether they've had luck with or good success with trying to recruit using marketing tactics like going on Facebook and running ads there, or on LinkedIn or other places. Anyone?
Can you unmute them, Tim?
Yeah, I can.
We can have.
Might be easier. You're right.
I'll share. I recently started advertising on Facebook, and so far we've had a pretty good pool of applicants. We've tried other sites that haven't been very successful. We found that Indeed and Facebook have been the most reliable for actually getting applicants that are willing to interview and come in to apply. We lose a lot of them, mainly due to the whole situation with unemployment. And so it's been a tough road for us to recruit, definitely.
It may be that with the advent of a new COVID relief package, that unemployment benefits will be once again increased, which may make it even more difficult to entice people to come to work instead of choosing to remain on unemployment too. So
I'd like to share just something briefly on caregiver retention. That's one of the biggest areas that it's really a plague in the home care industry. We all know this, that you hire 5 historically, and in a year, you're lucky to have 2. That's just, so something needs to change. There are many strategies that have been working, that agencies have been trying. One of the areas, for example, that Smart Care came out with was an incentive point system. And this has really been, it's really caught attention of the caregivers, being able to award Smart Care managing all of that, where you would have the more difficult tasks that are created that happen during the day, taking a more difficult shift or doing an overnight or giving a referral. Those are all achieving points, and all of that is customizable by the agency owner. And then you're able to credit a gift card at the frequency that you want. And on the off week outside of pay, that seems to be a helpful thing. We've really seen that improving the caregiver retention.
Great
Great
approach.
Yeah, I want to jump very quick to explain what we did as a beginner, home care beginner, like a couple of months since we opened. We did try Facebook and Craigslist, which was like crazy. We had so many caregivers applying, and it was amazing. The approach we did actually is we called them on the phone, and we have to talk to them about like not even the work they're applying for, but their family, like life, COVID. And we realize that the human approach is very working, because they apply, they talk to us about like personal things, and we have a program for them. We have a sign-up bonus, and at the same time we did tell them we can give you advance in your salary, like a week advance, so you will be able to take care of your family and like not worry about going to work and not having like money at home. And it's amazing how many caregivers has applied and stick around to wait for a client with us. It was amazing.
That's great, Sophie. You're showing concern for their concerns, and so they're responding by being good caregivers for you then.
Yeah, actually,
That's great. What state are you in, Sophie?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So Sophie is the woman that I spoke to this morning, Tim. So Sophie, I'm so glad that you and your daughter were able to make it. And the name, so I would like to share with everybody on the call, the name of her home care, when she shared it with me, gave me chills, because her and her daughter's heart are definitely in the right place with this business. Sophie, could you share with everybody what the name is and what it means?
So it's actually derived from a proverb, and the whole thing is Dengue Tunnel Bubah, and it's in our mother tongue, and most people just say tunnel, which kind of translates to get well, but the whole thing is really, the idea of it is that health is the highest form of happiness, and it's kind of like that's the proverb that we work off of. So yeah.
Nice.
That is
nice.
Awesome, Sophie. Awesome.
Sure is.
Thank you.
There is so much caring in this community of home care agencies. It is such a privilege to be able to speak to agency owners and hear, ask one question. And I just love the answers you hear about why you're doing what you're doing. you know, that it's the burden that each of you have to help. You have big hearts, and so thank you for all the work that you're doing out there.
You're welcome.
To piggyback on that, you know, from a marketing, business development, and sales perspective, I have found, so when I've been coaching, you know, these students that I have, teaching them how to sell, get referrals, and close clients, you know, it was amazing to me that they forgot that they could be personal and be authentic and share why you're doing what you do. So I would encourage you that when you're out there and you're building relationships with referral sources, or when you do the consultations with the families, come from that place of authenticity and make it about why you have your company and why you are, you know, in this industry to help. It makes a big difference with them wanting to use you as their home care partner.
I tell you, there's another issue that, you know, we kind of touched on a little, but if you truly want to be able to be that agency that finds the best caregivers and responds to them, it all has to do with how quickly you're able to reach them. Tim, we're having some feedback. If you don't, there you go. So the research is that if you're 100%, you're 100 times more likely to reach a candidate if you reach them within 5 minutes of them giving interest in your agency. So think how quickly that goes by. That's 100 times more than what it would be if you reach them in 30 minutes. And it's just the average lead response out there is 42 hours, according to research. So the goal is how quickly can you reach them? So this is where having one of those inbound marketing tools to be able to automate that, where if someone clicks on a link on your website or on a job posting site, are you going to know? How quickly are you going to know? And there are tools out there like SmartCare that have figured that out for you. Well, you'd get a text and an email right away, and that would then solve that for you.
Great point. Automated response followed up by a real, personal response. Absolutely. Sophie mentioned Craigslist, which I thought was interesting. I wonder how effective that is for recruiting for everyone. Apparently it is effective, where Sophie and her daughter are. When I had my agency, we found that it worked reasonably well compared to other sources, although it was beginning to be a little bit less so by the time we sold our agency. But I speculate that it may be effective in some parts of the country more than in others. I'm curious if anyone is finding it to be useful for recruiting still, besides Sophie and her daughter. Anyone else having luck with that for recruiting right now?
I have tried using Craigslist down in our area, and fortunately for the LA area, it seems like Craigslist is more primarily for private caregiving now, and so the rates that they're looking for are considerably higher than what we're able to offer through the agency.
That's surprising in some areas, especially like California, where the wages are so high that private hiring is probably much more common now, because people are discouraged about spending money with home care agencies, which of course is a challenge for everyone. Mike, I'm going to see if I can get you or enable you to share your screen, because I think you were going to show something from SmartCare in regards probably to automated responses. Why don't you try sharing it, and I'll see if I can approve it from this side.
Not yet.
While you guys are doing that, I would like to encourage you guys and all of you owners to take an interest in recruiting from the military population. So with my military background, what I know is that, oftentimes you have transitioning veterans coming off active duty, and maybe they're going to college, right? And they're looking for flexible work where they can create, they can have the own type of schedule that they want. So it's a great population to recruit from, because they tend to understand, a mission larger than themselves, and they're responsible, right? They can follow direction. They're very teachable, but also military spouses, because military spouses are very, one of the most underemployed populations in the United States. So I encourage you, find ways to recruit veterans and military spouses, and even active duty people, lower enlisted especially, are always looking for supplemental income.
So something I wanted to just share very briefly here is, again, on that issue of early engagement, you want to be able to catch the attention of that person who is interested in, that family member that is looking for services for their loved one, or from a caregiver standpoint. So if one of you did have a link, this is just one of the examples of a tool like this, where a family member could fill this information out here on top. They would do this by clicking on a link on your website. This would pop up. Your logo, of course, would be here. And then they would just enter their basic information, but then you can see the potential here of all the boxes they could check about the services that they are looking for. And the beauty of it then is, once they hit submit, you're notified immediately. And then that is where it would go into this lead section right here. And this would fill up. Your goal would be able to be responding in 5 minutes. If you could do that, you're going to find much more of a better onboarding effort. And what you're able to do then is you just walk them through the process as they're going through visually. It helps you. There's a whole CRM system as well. And of course, then you get them to this final stage. You click right here, and you've just onboarded and created a complete HR profile. So I wanted to share that, really just to show each of you the tools of how earlier engagement is going to be able to help you to be able to land more clients and caregivers.
Thanks, Mike. That's great. And I'm going to speculate that there's probably something sort of similar for caregiver recruiting as well, right?
Exactly, something very similar.
Okay, I've stopped the slideshow. I think we've seen enough of the slides. Now everybody can see each other here. We have a few minutes left. Christine Serrier, do you mind if I pick on you for just a minute? I know, Christine, you can unmute yourself. Christine is a very successful placement agent in Northern California, and also very active in her community in terms of helping seniors and helping facilities with all aspects of just things that people need right now in the midst of this pandemic. And she's sort of widely admired by a lot of people because she's so involved in community service. Christine, do you have any insight to share, or any ideas to share with this home care audience about things that they do in order to somehow partner with or collaborate with RCFEs, board and care homes, or larger assisted living facilities to cross-refer, to help each other in other ways like that? I'm putting you on the place. I know. I'm sorry.
No, I'm absolutely ready. At any time. I think that the pandemic has definitely either made your marketing efforts better or has kind of established who's going to be going out of business for sure. Those folks that have let just everyone closing their doors stop them. I mean, you really can't. I mean, I haven't let up. If you follow me on social media, Creating New Hope, I haven't let up since day one. And I really just leaned into my community. And right now, this is like the perfect opportunity to
Yep.
get everything for free, you guys. I reached out to every single Rotary Club, every single organization, whether even a music organization, to donate PPE. And then what I did was I went and delivered all of that donated PPE to all of the places that I would market to. I was able to collaborate with the ombudsman. I was able to collaborate with the city, with energy companies. So right now, everyone's eyes are on seniors and whoever's providing care for them. So you absolutely need to lean into that. And I would say that prior to COVID, if you lived in the Bay Area and you haven't heard of Creating New Hope, guaranteed you know who my company is and what I do now, for sure. So, you know, where I haven't been making a ton of money like I used to prior to, because people aren't going into assisted living communities right now, I'm making a lot of referrals to in-home care providers, because that's part of what I do. Is I connect people with great providers, great care, whether it's veteran aid and attendance or a smaller residential care home. I want to be the one-stop go-to person for anything senior care related in that whole entire continuum. And just get creative and lean into your community.
I think probably prior to this time, a lot of home care agencies might not have thought as much about trying to partner with placement agents, placement and referral agents, because honestly, you know, so much activity was going on in the placement agent industry with respect to facilities. But now it might be a good time to get to know your local placement agents and just make them aware of what you offer as a home care agency. And sure, you're going to end up in most cases paying a placement fee to the placement agency, a referral fee, but it can be well worth it, especially when in home care, you have the opportunity right now to be perceived as the safest alternative for people's elderly loved ones compared to being in a facility. Even though there are some facilities, they're doing a great job protecting their residents. Still, this is a time for home care to really kind of stand out as the safe place to turn for home care. And your placement agents are a great source of that.
Yeah, I would say definitely develop relationships with placement agents. They've always been a significant referral source for me, and it's very reciprocal and complementary, because here's the thing: a placement agent is going to get referrals, and then the person does not want to leave their home. They are not going to leave their home, but they're not safe, and so the placement agent can refer to you. But then you're also going to get referrals where maybe the financial picture does not support, you know, the level of care they need in the home, so they have to be placed, and so you can refer back to them. Or maybe the person is willing to go to a community, but they can't right now, right? And so they need caregiving, and then you would have the conversation with the placement agent and guarantee them, right, that that referral is going to be sent back to them when the time comes for them to leave. So absolutely develop relationships with placement agents.
I have a question for the group. I'm sorry, Christine, go ahead.
I would say right now it's getting a little harder to get families to make these hard decisions because they're so afraid. And I always tell families, right now, if your mom and dad are home alone, if there was a kitchen fire, could they dial 911? If somebody fell, would they be able to? And if you're going to tell me the answer is no, then you need to make some hard decisions right away. And I always like to refer families to a documentary called The Guardians. Write this down, guys, and watch this. It's called The Guardians. And they're basically some elderly people got taken advantage of financially and placed in communities and got conserved unnecessarily because families didn't make those decisions early on. And you get too many calls from the hospital. You get too many visits from the fire department. And they're saying, hey, who's making decisions on behalf of these people? Because clearly they should not be living alone safely.
Christine, is there a link you could share with us in the chat maybe for that?
Yeah, I think you can see it on Amazon right now, but it's a compelling documentary, and I think everyone should see this because you know what? It's families are only making decisions when it's an emergency, and it's like it's too late now. Now the state's involved. Now someone else is making decisions on your loved one's behalf.
Thank you.
I need to really echo that. You guys, I see it all the time. They wait too long. It's crisis, and things do not have to get that bad off. And so when I'm training people, right, my whole goal is do not just be another home care rep, right? I want you to be a home care advisor. And what that
Yes.
means is you're looking for that. You know how to coach the family to make these
Right.
right decisions for their parents, right? Or, you know, the well spouse. So yes, definitely. And plus that documentary is amazing.
So I have a very brief question. I'm sorry, Tim. Just a quick question for the group. How many of you have reached out to your local fire and EMS? And think through the question about why you'd want to do that. I was a police officer 20 years. Think of the fire departments having to deal with these different incidents weekly, sometimes monthly, with all of these different homes. And these are situations that they do not want to have to deal with. What they would prefer is that some agency like yours would be able to address their needs and help them so that this does not become that medical emergency. Reach out and advertise your service to them. They'd love to give the referral.
Great suggestion. We're coming up to bring cookies. We're coming up to the top of the hour, and I want to respect everyone's time and finish on time. First of all, I want to say thank you to the panelists today. Mike and Sarah, you've just been so helpful, and I know everybody appreciates the input that you've provided. And I'd like to also give a tip of the hat to Christine, who gave some great advice there as well. Everybody on the call will receive a follow-up email shortly that has contact info for the panelists. And later, when the recording is available, you'll get another follow-up email with information about how to get to the recording if you'd like to. Thank you for participating. I really appreciate it. And I think it's been a very useful time for everyone. And I want to thank everyone very much. And with that, I'm going to say that we'll wrap up. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.